Okay, lovely winter's day, nice and damp and moist and windy and cold. I've got a little dent here. That was the only bit of damage on the whole bodywork that I can find. That obviously was there when I bought it. Unfortunately it was done by people using a bar to lift the car and steal the catalytic converter, which is lovely of them. So as you can see, it's a little bit nasty. There's no paint damage up to now. I have contacted someone to see if they can do a paintless dent removal, and they said it can't be done. They said it will have to go to a body shop. So if that's the case, if it needs to go to a body shop and they need to, you know, straighten it, rub it down, blow it in and paint it, then I might as well have a go at it myself. Probably a load of body shop guys out there going, no, don't do that, that's the worst thing you can do. We hate it when people bring stuff in that they've had a go at themselves. But you know what, if I can get it done myself, great. If I can't, then yeah, someone might look at it and go, I'm gonna have to charge you a bit more at this because you've made it worse. Anyway, the idea is to use a slide hammer behind the middle of the dent, hook a slide hammer behind there, warm up the area, and basically give it a few hammers and see if we can get it to come out. So we'll be doing that. Next we'll be doing something else, which is adjustment of the alternator belt, because I don't know if you heard in previous videos, but when the engine starts it is a little bit of a noisy belt, so I'm going to try and remedy with that. If that can't be fixed by adjustment, then I will put a new belt on it, although I believe there are more than one belt, which is fine. Just means I need to check and test each one to see where the noise is coming from and see if I can get rid of it. Other than that, I have an aftermarket air filter that I want to fit, just to improve the intake airflow, and I believe that also allows the turbo to be a bit more vocal. The air intake makes it sound a bit nicer, so that's good. I'm all down for it sounding nicer. Excuse the sirens. I unfortunately there's rather a few ambulances not too far from me at the moment. On top of the air filter, I've also got a boost gauge, so I can see what boost the engine runs at from factory, and I've also got a manual boost controller, so I can tinker with that a little bit. So, start with the arch and see how we get on. Okay, so I've got the dent puller, well, the makeshift dent puller, slide hammer in place. I've already poured one jug of hot tap water over the area, making sure I don't concentrate on one small area, so that everywhere around it is cold. That might, I'm not an expert, but it might cause issues. And now I've got a kettle, and you can see already I've got the hammer in and it's just starting to sink because things are really warming up now. So I've got a kettle full of pretty much boiling water here. Get that nice and warm. Trying to help the paint and the lacquer to be as flexible as possible, as well as the metal itself. So, nice and warmed up. Just make sure I'm happy with the area. I'll give it a couple of tugs. has improved it somewhat, but yeah, there's an extra lip under here that's supposed to be flat, and that is just pulling away. Paint is cracking. It's not going to work, unfortunately. Yeah, it's probably something that does need to go into a paint shop, but if you don't try, you don't know. It is warm to the touch. It's also, you can just see some micro cracks of the paint on this edge, so even there it wasn't happy to come back without giving some damage. So that's that one out of the way. I'll give up there and get it into someone who can do a better job than me. Moving swiftly on, here is my ultra high quality eBay air filter in chrome. Yeah, I just thought I'd go with a really cheap thing just to see if it makes a difference for now. Can always buy something better when I've got everything else in place, but yeah, ultra high quality cellophane packaging there. Removed that, so yeah, we'll see about removing the top of this airbox and seeing if we can attach this cone in place of the piece that directly attaches to the math. Yeah, oh, a bit tight, but we'll give it a go. So first things first, I'm going to remove the clip which is snapped off. Remove the clip which is snapped off. You can see now, can't you, why I wanted to upgrade to a different air filter, because this is absolutely buggered. We've got a wood screw in there, fantastic. So I'm going to undo all the imaginary clips and the incompatible screws that I can find, as well as undo this Jubilee clip, and hopefully it'll allow me to remove the top of the airbox and the air filter. So it turns out that the MAF housing is on a bracket which is bolted to the top of the air filters, the air box. So all of this needs to come off and be released from this area in order to get it up, and then from there I can detach the MAF housing from the top of the airbox and go from there. There we are, I've got it up. It looks nice and clean in there, as it should. And we found some foam that hasn't completely fallen apart. We have the filter itself there. Let's see how dirty this is. When was it last changed? There's not going to be a way of telling when it was changed. Oh, it's not too bad, it's not too bad. So that was a fairly recent one in terms of mileage. So with that out of the way, I can now concentrate on undoing these bolts to let the MAF housing off, and then we can connect that directly back to the tube that it came off, and then follow that with a piece of air filterage. Let's go from here. Okay, so these bolts have been removed. Little stubby ones that have had red thread lock on them, which rightly so. If they ever came undone, they'd get sucked straight into the engine. They were 12mm heads. You will come across 12mm from time to time on Volvos. There's two of them. So with that done, I now need to undo this Jubilee clip, which was the original one I was going to undo, and that should release the MAF housing itself from the area. If I can just get a little bit of pryage. There we are. One MAF sensor and housing. This is an original Bosch one, so well, I'm not too sure about it being original to the car's production, but it's a genuine part, so that's all good. Now, do I use the bracket to mount it somewhere, or do I just get rid of the bracket and use zip ties? Well, considering it's just a mess about for now, let's get the zip ties out. So I think I'll take these two 10mm nuts off, bolts off, just to take this bracket off the actual MAF housing and go from there. There we are. I've slid the cone over, tightened that one up, slid that into there, tightened that one up, popped the plug back in, removed the bracket, and it's kind of sitting in place nicely. Doesn't really want to go anywhere, but what I will do is just use a huge cable tie and tie that down, and that's the job done.